Hey everyone, it is Willa. Welcome back. Have you ever beat yourself up because something didn't happen the way that you wanted it to or expected it to, and it felt like you wasted your time? You found yourself like feeling frustrated, irritated, maybe even fearful, sad, angry, shame, guilt because you just felt like you failed. You felt like you failed and you felt like you were failing and there was nothing that you could do about it. Well, that was me yesterday. I got humbled. And the craziest part of all of this was that I was recording a video yesterday on this topic. Oftentimes, we put ourselves in these positions, and when they don't go the way that we expect them to, or that we fail, we tend to be the ones who beat ourselves up about it because we're like, oh, I just wasted my time doing this when I could have been doing it this way, or I could have figured out a different route for it, or I didn't have to put myself in the position in the first place. And it feels like a waste. I had a little bit of an intuitive feeling yesterday to not record in cinematic mode. And I didn't listen to my intuition because I felt like I did it before and it didn't work out. I don't know what it is in my phone. It could be because I haven't updated my phone in so long. My phone is like due for at least I'm like 3 updates behind. I really feel like because there are some apps that are telling me I can't even download them because my phone is not up to date. So maybe it's my update that's behind. Maybe I have a little bit of like an older phone, but it's not crazy old. I don't know. It was probably not the best decision at that time. I guess what happens is the file size is like too long. It's like too big of a file size. And it takes up a lot of space when you film in cinematic mode. And then when you upload it to your platforms to try to edit it, it takes up even more space because when you edit videos, it's a lot. It's a lot of space it takes up. It was freezing. Then all of a sudden, halfway through editing the video, it just deleted and said that the file was like corrupt. And I was like, what just happened? Like, what just actually happened? And I was so upset because recently I have also been in this mentality where I feel like I don't have enough time throughout my day. And there's so much that I want to do, and there's so much that I know I can do in a day. And I tend to try to pack a lot of stuff in my day. And I feel like sometimes I even overcommit for myself. And then I get frustrated when I can't do everything. I was so mad because I was like, oh my gosh, I just spent literally maybe 2 hours filming this video and I edited it for another like 3 hours before it said that the file was corrupt. And I was like so frustrated. And if you have been trying to do content creation or you do content creation, you know that like the long form videos like this take so long to upload, especially when it's like a talking video or a vlog. Actually, just long form in general. I don't know what I'm saying. But they take so long to edit because you have to like watch it back and clip stuff and make sure everything makes sense to like put yourself in a viewer perspective. I know for myself, I'm like a little bit of like a perfectionist when I'm trying to edit videos and trying to make sure that everything looks good and sounds good. I definitely spend a lot of time like editing my videos. I'm editing videos while I'm eating dinner. So it is very time consuming. I love it, but at the same time, I was so frustrated because I was like, I just wasted my time. And I had to like stop for a minute. I had to stop and be like, well, we need to calm down. It is not the end of the world. Like, we need to take a few steps back. We need to calm down. And I ended up just like taking some deep breaths, like being like, Lord, I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know why I was so frustrated today and this video and everything. However, I'm just gonna let go and I'm gonna trust you because that was the only thing I could do in the moment. I could have sat in frustration and shame and guilt and irritability. I could have done that, but I decided to let it go because there was nothing I could do in my power anymore at this point. I have sat there for hours deleting storage off my phone, trying to find ways to like clip the video so that we would upload in smaller pieces, but it wasn't working out. And when I had eventually just let go and let those emotions go, something inside of me was just like, okay, next time I'm going to listen to that intuitive feeling that I had before I even recorded my video. And also, I'm never going to record in cinematic video format again, ever. Like, that never will be seeing me again. But I thought about it in that moment and I was like, This is something really good to learn about, but also it's really funny how I just recorded this video because now I have an actual real life example of how I'm still learning and growing. I have to remind myself at times that, like, hey, it's okay. You know, we can take a step back, we can take a breather. And whatever I do, teach, or explain to you guys on here, I also take into accountability daily in my daily life. And that is just a very small example of how it happens to me. Failing is not fun, or feeling like you failed is not fun, but there's so much value in it. And I think I want to change your perspective a little bit on it. If you are somebody who tends to get really emotional or caught up in some emotions when you do have situations like that, that just end up going the complete left side of what you thought was going to happen, I want to show you a new way that you can start to perceive the situation to make it even better. Unfortunately, the bad news about it is that, yeah, you're never going to get that time back. Like, I'm never going to get that time back. And you may, never be that age again or never be in that situation to do it differently. However, you can walk away from that situation, whatever it is that you think of that first comes to your mind, that you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I went through this and I wasted my time and it's so frustrating and it's annoying. You can walk away from that situation by saying that you have learned something that you can apply throughout your journey of healing and growing. Just like when you are in life, you go through specific situations and you learn lessons that end up teaching you and allowing you to grow into a better version of yourself as you get older. I feel like whenever something bad does happen, we tie that idea to that, oh, this is wrong, we shouldn't be going in this direction. Or even if you failed at something, you're like, okay, maybe this wasn't meant for me. But that's not true. I think sometimes you can fail and you can look at it and be like, okay, what did I do wrong in this situation? What strategy did I use for this to go the wrong way? What worked in it? And how can I avoid whatever I used in the strategy that made it go the wrong way, but also take from what worked and apply it to a new formula or a new strategy to continue to strive for whatever that goal is or whatever I'm trying to achieve out of this situation. And although you could be like, oh, I wish I went back and I did it differently, but it's like you didn't, and you didn't for a reason. Because I feel like when you do learn a lesson or you learn something and you have the knowledge of it now, you can take it and move forward on your journey with so much more grace and so much more ease because that's a lesson you've already learned. You're no longer going to make that mistake again. If you do, you are going to know how to get yourself out of it in 5 seconds. It is so important that sometimes we do fail because not everything is going to be right. And if you have hits left and right, like, you're just like floating through life with ease, when those problems do come, it's going to be harder for you to recover. And you may just stay in that state of like shame, guilt, fear, anxiety, irritated, frustrated. You may stay there longer, and then it's going to prevent your growth and not allow you to excel as fast as you should be. One thing I have learned from the traders, when it comes to charts and when it comes to trading, whatever goes up always ends up coming back down. I like to think of your healing path and your journey that way as well. We're never going to be in a continuous like growth pattern of straight up. We may be going up, but there's going to be some little dips along the way, and it's your responsibility to ride that wave. And when those dips happen, to be like, okay, how can we pivot? How can we turn the page and make a good out of this situation? What can we learn and take away from it? And then continue on your evolution and your growth, your journey of growth. However, if you stay in that dip, you may continue to dip even further. Sometimes when a bad situation does happen, or when you do get into those feelings of like regret, of just like, oh, I wish I did this earlier, you kind of prevent your own growth from happening because by staying in that emotion, you're just like allowing yourself to fall further and further and further down in that dip, rather than you being like, all right, let's change the perspective around and then we're going to rise above it and we're going to see what we can make out of the situation. I think we are humans that learn best when we are learning through experience. I do see value, obviously, in certifications and doing research and knowledge in that way of like textbook and reading information. But there's something different about experiencing something and learning from it that you can't get when you're just reading it out of a textbook. Everybody is different types of learners. When you experience something, there's an emotional attachment to it. And that emotional attachment is so powerful because it's energy. And when there's a lot of energy that's in a specific area or energy that can be transformed, it is so powerful. You may go through a situation or an experience that you now look back at and be like, oh, I wish I would have did this because I could have prevented all of this from happening. But now that you have that knowledge and you also know what it's like to experience that, the emotions that came with it, the turbulence, the way that your mentality was and your mindset, you now hold a very, very, very special gift to be able to share your experience with other people or prevent other people from being in that situation. There are people who tend to find their passions through what they've gone through in life. And the reason for that being is because they can relate to people who are in those similar situations on a different level. The intimacy is so much deeper when energy and spirit is truly connected. And instead of it just being a physical situation, like, oh yeah, like I've heard about this and I want to help, you now have somebody who has genuinely been in a situation that has caused traumatic events, that has made them feel some type of way. And you're like, I want to be able to help them because I know what their thought process is. I know what they're going through. I know what it's like to be in a situation where you just feel X, Y, and Z. When a situation does arise that you think of and you're like, I just get so mad at this. I want you to sit down today, tomorrow, or whenever those moments do arise and think about the genuine light in that situation. And not like the light, like, oh, just focus on the positive, but be like, okay, what can I take away from this? If I could go back, right? Back to that scenery and sit down with the person that is about to go into the whatever situation it is, what would you tell that person? That is your lesson right there. Whatever you would say to that person is your lesson. And you take that and you apply it to wherever you need to throughout your healing journey. But also, if it is something that can save somebody else, that can heal somebody else, that can help somebody else, speak on it, find people that may, be in that experience or in that situation and share your knowledge. That is wisdom, it is knowledge, it is genuinely a gift from the Lord to be able to speak on something that you now feel very personally connected to. I remember thinking, like, okay, what am I passionate about? And you always hear people talking about, like, oh, passion. You have to have passion for it. Do what you're passionate about. Sometimes your passion is literally just the fact that, like, I never want anybody to experience this type of pain, or I want to be there for people who are currently in these situations. I felt so strongly about this emotion. I felt so strongly about where I was at this time. And I just want to be a help. I want to be a provider for this person or this community or in this area, doing something, creating something, whether it be a product, a content piece, whatever it is. I don't know. That comes out of it. I always speak on here about how the Lord has blessed us with gifts and talents, and He works through us, through these gifts and talents, to be able to help other people. So beautiful because it just goes to show how expansive and how contagious the Lord's kingdom is and how contagious His love is. And if you have the opportunity to do that, why wouldn't you? If you had the opportunity to be somebody to spread love, to use your gifts and talents that may have just shown up in a little area of like, I went through this, I learned, and I figured out how to do X, Y, and Z, do it. Pry into that, lean into it. There's always going to be light and dark. And how you decide to go about a situation is always the most important part. The decision that you make and how you respond to something is so important. And if you can respond to it with peace, if you can respond to it with trust and letting go and aligning yourself with what is important in that situation rather than you sulking in the idea that it sucks and you have regret and you're frustrated, there's so much beauty in that. The Lord has the ability to turn anything that is bad into good. I know that some situations are a lot heavier than others. When I do speak on certain things like this, I always encourage people to seek help where you need it. Never hold yourself back from speaking to somebody, whether that be a therapist, a psychologist, a family member, a friend, somebody that you trust, the Lord. Never ever hold back from genuinely seeking help if you are in a position where you're like, this is weighing so heavily on me and I don't know how to shake this off. I always encourage you to go down that route to not doing this journey alone, because doing it alone, it can get heavy, it can get hard, it can get confusing. And I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, and I don't want you to get steered in the wrong direction in general through anything, because on this path and on this journey, you deserve to walk in light, to walk in clarity, to walk in truth, to walk in alignment. And wherever you find that, I encourage you to go towards it. But I want to specifically talk about the situations where they're not the end of the world and you're at a point now where you are safe and you are genuinely okay in moving forward, but you just have those like, ugh, I'm tired of it. Like, I'm tired of like rethinking about this and revisiting it. Try to change your perspective on it, because I want you to be able to release those situations and release that trauma, that turbulence, that regret towards what you did go through, or what you wish you did at that time. Everything is curated so uniquely and so in order and so precisely. The Lord does everything with so much intent, and sometimes we are just not looking at it through a lens that He wants us to. Allowing yourself to put on those lenses of, this is for me, and something about this, something about the situation, something about the environment, something about whatever I am currently looking at as a situation where I feel like I wasted time. Something about that was perfectly aligned for me and my journey and where I need to go. And I'm going to look at that situation differently so I can look at why the Lord had aligned me with this. And if He didn't, there's something within that situation that the Lord can always use for the better of your good. And see what He's using out of that situation to make you the better version of yourself now. The Lord will always steer you in the best direction. Continue to walk in a path of faith, trust, alignment, serenity, and allow yourself to walk in the direction that is genuinely for you. But I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with me, being here with me, and I will see you in another video. Bye.